And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics, and now here's your host, Robert Cardoza.
And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. Boy, have we got a terrific show for you today. You know what? Today is our tax tip day, and I've got some great things for you for that. But you know what? On today's show, we're going to discuss what's in the news. New legislation, the IRS loses, and I'm going to answer your emails just like I always do. And then on today's show, our special segment, I'm going to be presenting tax tips for the season. First is going to be the fast track mediation that you can do. And then I'm going to tell you how you can avoid estate tax by relocating. And then later on in the show, Joel Saltzman, our own Dr. Wireless, will be here. He's going to be talking about new wireless technology issues. But before we do that, I want to tell you to stand by for news. At 3:01 p.m. Pacific time, it is currently 85 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, you know what? I want to talk about the news. I want to talk about the 10 things that you need to know for Wednesday, your daily look at late-breaking news, upcoming events, and the stories that'll be talked about all day today and tomorrow. And first up is your Donald Trump and Clinton steam ahead. The GOP frontrunner and the leading Democrat earned key wins in Florida on a night of delegate-rich voting in 5 states. And White House does an about-face on oil drilling. The administration announces that it has decided to bar drilling off America's Atlantic coast as Obama moves aggressively to shape his environmental legacy. Well, what's the latest step in the Russian strategy in Syria? Putin is now pressuring Assad to engage in the peace talks that have begun in Geneva. And nation's capital facing a harsh commute. The city's rail system will be shut down for at least 29 hours for safety checks of possibly dangerous electric cables. And the United States further eases restrictions on travel to Cuba. The changes are expected to increase travel from America to the island by as much as 20%. Well, which chemical is raising fears in the United States? PFOA, a suspected carcinogen, used in the manufacture of Teflon pans and other products, is turning up in water supplies. And police carry out terror raid in Brussels. One man's found dead in an apartment after a raid linked to the deadly attacks in Paris last November, authorities say. And how the CDC hopes to stem flow of painkillers. The agency says doctors should not turn to painkillers to treat common forms of pain like backaches or arthritis amid an epidemic of abuse and death tied to the drugs. And new faith-based films tone down religion, amp up star power. The latest example is Miracles from Heaven, starring Jennifer Garner and Queen Latifah. And then finally, refugees are training for Rio Games. A group of 43 men and women displaced by conflicts in their homelands are being considered for the first ever team of refugee athletes at the Olympics. You know what? Isn't that terrific? I think it is. Now, you know what? That's everything that's encapsulated in an abbreviated form. Let's get to some more in-depth kind of news for you. First off, Obama nominates Garland to the High Court, challenging the GOP. Ignoring Republican threats, President Barack Obama nominated appeals court judge Merrick Garland to the Supreme Court today, thrusting a respected moderate jurist and former prosecutor into the center of an election year clash over the future of the nation's highest court. Obama cast the 63-year-old Garland as a serious man and an exemplary judge deserving of a full hearing and a Senate confirmation vote, despite Republican vows to deny him both. Standing in the White House Rose Garden with Garland, Obama argued the integrity of the court was at stake and appealed to the Senate to play it straight in filling the seat left vacant by the death of Justice Antonin Scalia. You know, it's supposed to be above politics, Obama said, of the High Court. It has to be, and it should stay that way. Republican leaders, however, held to their refusal to consider any nominee, saying the seat should be filled by the next president after this year's election. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell spoke with Garland by phone, but did not change his position that the American people will have its voice. He said he would not be holding a perfunctory meeting, but he wished the judge Garland well. Oops. Excuse me, got a sneeze coming out of nowhere. Anyway, still some of the GOP ranks were wary of sticking to a no hearing, no vote, not even meeting stance. You know what? We'll see what happens. I think that the people of America are going to be really upset if the Republicans pull this kind of a stunt. This just isn't the right way to do things. The fact that President Obama is in his last 10 months of office doesn't mean that he's lost his powers and authority under the presidency. Whether you like him or not, he's got the right, and the Senate has the responsibility. Let's make this thing happen. Well, after a night of primary victories, Clinton looks ahead. You know what? Sweeping to victory in 4 key primary contests, Hillary Clinton has solidified her hold on the Democratic nomination, allowing her to begin the work of unifying her party against GOP frontrunner Donald Trump. The process won't be pretty. Rival Bernie Sanders has tapped into a deep vein of anti-Washington sentiment in the Democratic Party, turning what was once expected to be an easy race for Clinton into a far tougher competition. He's vowed to continue all the way to the National Convention in July. But Tuesday night's victories allow Clinton to claim wins in key general election battlegrounds across the country, North Carolina, Florida, and Ohio, and demonstrate her appeal to Rust Belt voters who will play a pivotal role in November. A decisive win in Florida, Tuesday's biggest delegate prize, left her on track to expand an already commanding lead. Clinton now has at least 1,599 delegates, including superdelegates, nearly 2/3 of the total needed to win the Democratic nomination. Sanders trails far behind with at least 844. Boy, I'll tell you what, it's a fight that's kind of interesting to watch. Well, more than 12 punished for a mistaken Afghan hospital attack. More than a dozen U.S. military personnel have been disciplined, but faced no criminal charges for mistakes that led to the bombing of a Doctors Without Borders hospital that killed 42 people in Afghanistan last year, U.S. defense officials say. The punishments, which have not been publicly announced, are largely administrative, but in some cases, the actions, such as letters of reprimand, are tough enough to effectively end chances for further promotion. The military has previously said some personnel were suspended from their duties, but has given no further details. The disciplined include both officers and enlisted personnel, but officers said none are generals. Now, do not go away, because when we come back from these brief messages, we're going to talk about Kurds' plan to declare a federal region in northern Syria. And I'm going to tell you all about that right after these brief messages. So please, don't go away. We've got some good stuff for you.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the Street at the intersection of business and politics, and we're talking news. Well, you know, I told you we were going to talk about the Kurds' plan to declare a federal region in northern Syria. Let me tell you about it. Syrian Kurds are preparing a plan to declare a federal region in the area that they control across northern Syria, saying today it is a model for a more decentralized government in which all ethnic groups would be represented. Although the idea might seem like a way forward after 5 years of civil war, it faces big obstacles. It was promptly dismissed by the government of Syria, President Bashar Assad, and the rebels who oppose him, both fearing it would lead to a partition of the country. Turkey also opposes it, wary of the growing Kurdish influence in the border region of northern Syria and its effect on its own Kurdish minority. But Ahmad Araj, a Kurdish official in northern Syria, insisted that a federal system containing such a region, which would effectively combine 3 Kurdish-led autonomous areas, is in fact meant to preserve national unity and prevent Syria from breaking up along sectarian lines. After all, the blood that has been spilled, Syrians will not accept anything less than decentralization, Araj said. Well, we'll see what happens. Doesn't seem like anything happens the way it's supposed to or the way that it's planned, right? Not so far anyway. And North Korea sentences a U.S. tourist to 15 years in prison. Yep. North Korea's highest court sentenced an American tourist to 15 years in prison with hard labor for subversion today, weeks after authorities presented him to media and he tearfully confessed that he had tried to steal a propaganda banner. Otto Warmbier, 21 years old, a University of Virginia undergraduate, was convicted and sentenced in a 1-hour trial in North Korea's Supreme Court. The U.S. government condemned the sentence and accused North Korea of using such American detainees as political pawns. The court held that Warmbier had committed a crime pursuant to the U.S. government's hostile policy toward the North in a bid to impair the unity of its people after entering it as a tourist. North Korea regularly accuses Washington and Seoul of sending spies to overthrow its government to enable the U.S.-backed South Korean government to take control of the Korean peninsula. Wow. 15 years for taking just a little flag? Wow. That seems harsh. I know of some cases where people committed murder didn't get 15 years. Well, subway safety shutdown makes for a very long day in the Capitol. An unprecedented 29-hour safety shutdown of subways in the nation's capital inconvenienced hundreds of thousands of people today. But despite predictions of Metrogeddon or Metro Apocalypse, it has hardly the end of the world. Many writers shrugged it off, saying it's what they've come to expect from the aging, troubled metro system. One popular Twitter feed about the system at Unsucked Metro was running a poll on whether the shutdown would solve Metro's flaming cables problem. Thousands voted, with more than 3/4 saying no. Metro sucks, said Bob Jones, 26 years old, of Arlington, Virginia, as he waited for a bus. The subways are always slow, always crowded, he complained. The nation's second busiest rail system stopped its trains at midnight on Tuesday for a system-wide inspection of its third rail power cables after an electrical fire on Monday. Officials plan to reopen at 5 a.m. Thursday unless inspectors find an immediate safety threat, which the system's general manager said was unlikely. Well, we'll see what happens, right? How about this? An inmate who survived the 2009 execution can be put to death. Well, let me tell you about this one. The state can try again to put to death a condemned killer whose 2009 execution was called off after 2 hours, during which he cried in pain while receiving 18 needle sticks, the Ohio Supreme Court said today. The court's 4-3 ruling rejected arguments that giving the state prisons agency a second chance to execute Ramel Broom would amount to cruel and unusual punishment and double jeopardy. Prosecutors had argued double jeopardy doesn't apply because lethal drugs never entered Broom's veins while executioners unsuccessfully tried to hook up an IV. They also said a previously unsuccessful execution attempt doesn't affect the constitutionality of his death sentence. Broom's attorneys called the ruling disappointing and said they were exploring additional legal remedies. Ohioans to stop executions, the state's largest anti-death penalty group, called on Governor John Kasich to commute Broom's sentence to life without parole. Well, don't think it's going to happen. You know what they're not telling us is what he actually did to deserve that death sentence. We'll see. Well, how about this? The Fed's key rates are unchanged, foresees fewer hikes for 2016. The Federal Reserve is keeping a key interest rate unchanged in light of global pressures that risk slowing the U.S. economy. As a result, Fed officials expect to raise rates more gradually this year than they had envisioned in December. The officials now foresee 2 rather than 4 modest increases in their benchmark short-term rate during 2016. The Fed said today that the economy has continued to grow moderately, but that the global economy and financial markets still pose risks. Offsetting the threats, the Fed said in a statement after a policy meeting that it foresees further strengthening in the job market. At a news conference, Chair Janet Yellen said the Fed expects inflation, which has stayed persistently low, to reach the central bank's 2% target in 2 of 3 years. Well, that's that for that. I can tell you that if we don't have inflation of at least 3.5%, we're not going to have the recovery that we expect. Now, do not go away. When we come back from this brief break, we're going to talk about the IRS loses. And the first case up is a failure to pay taxes was not willful. I'll explain it all to you right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his Business Show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Oh yeah, here we are, my favorite part of the show, the IRS loses. And let's get right to it. First case is failure to pay taxes was not willful. Let me tell you about it. Now, a business owner who owed back taxes declared bankruptcy, but the IRS said his non-payment was willful because he had improved his home and bought a luxury car while his tax bill mounted. So it could not be discharged. He went to court for some justice. This is what the judge said. The individual had income of more than $1 million and owed $5 million of stock on margin when the stock market actually crashed and then the 9/11 attacks and recession suddenly wiped out his stocks and cut his business income by 75%. He had committed to the personal expenditures earlier and had mistakenly believed he could deduct his stock losses to offset his tax bill. There was no evidence of any wrongdoing attempt or wrongful attempt to avoid the taxes, so they are dischargeable. The IRS just sometimes wants to just squeeze as hard as they can. Here's another case the IRS lost. They have to pay for delaying a refund. Makes sense to me. Here's the case. Dino Grisanti entered an installment agreement with the IRS to pay taxes owed by a business that he had purchased and abided by the agreement. But the IRS seized a $17,000 refund owed to him anyhow. Grisanti went to court to get the refund, and the IRS then paid it. Grisanti then asked to have the IRS pay his legal fees. The IRS answer? The award isn't justified because it had never rejected the refund claim and, in fact, paid it soon after the court filing. Well, this is what the judge said. The IRS sat on the refund for 2 years, giving check is in the mail excuses, and it seemed no coincidence that the refund was granted only after the court filing. So the legal fees are awarded. That's the way it ought to be. IRS can't make up their own doggone rules. Well, here's a case the IRS conceded, and you've heard me say it many times. They generally only concede a case when they're pretty sure that they can't prevail in tax court. Here's this one. An individual owned one company with 2 retirement plans in which he was sole participant in another company that had many employees in its retirement plan. Now, here's the snag. The trustee of the latter plan embezzled a large amount from it. Federal regulators said that the owner of the fiduciary or was a fiduciary of the depleted plan who could face legal action as a result. So here's the remedy. To avoid government lawsuits, the owner proposed to transfer the assets in his own 2 retirement plans to the depleted plan as a restorative payment. Here's the IRS ruling. The payment is permitted and will not be a contribution to the employee's plan, which would affect its status or their taxes. It is a taxable distribution, but he also gets an offsetting business deduction for it. And so that's the kind of things that you would expect in these kinds of cases. The IRS could never have won that in court no matter what happened. Now, how'd you like to be a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing stuff? Well, that's what we call this segment we call Inside the IRS, very much like the Twilight Zone. Oh, yeah, here we are. We're going to, these are not tax court cases, but these are precedents that have been set. The IRS has already made some decisions on a long time ago, and you can basically use these things if you do it properly against them, if you know what you're doing. Now, here's one thing that's going on. There is volunteer preparer foul-ups going on. Now, according to a recently released report by the Treasury Inspector General, more than half of the tax returns prepared by the federal government's Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, that's VITA, that's VITA, during last year's filing season, were inaccurate. The Inspector General based his report on the results of a test sample of 36 tax returns. 22 of the 36 were found to contain errors. You know what? In recent years, the IRS has been criticized for delegating too much of its own responsibility for taxpayer service to volunteers who lack the experience to gather the proper information and apply the appropriate tax law. So here's a lesson for you. You get what you pay for. Just think about it. Well, here's some news for you. Post 9/11 tax-free working condition fringe benefits that are recognized by the IRS. You know what? Special security precautions provided by companies to their senior executives may not be fully subject to income tax. For example, employer-provided vehicles fitted with bulletproof glass, chauffeurs trained in evasive driving techniques, armed bodyguards, and the use of a private aircraft for personal trips may all be considered working condition fringe benefits as defined by the tax code and regulations. Special rules define what portion of the benefit is subject to tax and what portion is tax-free. Here's an important rule, though. The employer must establish an overall security program, which generally means that the employee is protected 24 hours a day. Yep, it can't just be temporary and at the employer's whim. It has got to be 24 hours a day. Now, do not go away, because when we come back, I'm going to talk to you about some tax tips for the season. We're going to start off with fast track mediation. This is when you get in a little bit of trouble and you need some help. Fast track mediation can be the answer for that. So don't go away. We're going to come back and I'm going to talk to you about fast track mediation, and you'll find it interesting, I'm sure. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:33 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently 85 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, that's down from 86 degrees on its way to 55 degrees. But if you're listening to us on our global syndicated network and you're in Lisbon, Portugal, well, it's 52 degrees and partly cloudy. And if you're in Hong Kong, it is 66 degrees, and there are some patches of fog going on. But right now, what I want to talk to you about is a fast-track mediation. You know, if you get in trouble with the IRS, this is something that's really valuable for you to know. It's now possible to use mediation in tax disputes with the IRS to speed resolution at lower costs. But while mediation may be helpful in many cases, it's not always a good idea. The IRS created its fast-track mediation, FTM program, to speed voluntary resolution of tax disputes, avoiding what otherwise could be a long, costly appeals process that might end up in court. The objective of FTM is to resolve disputes within 40 days. In contrast, the normal appeals process might take months. Here's how it works. FTM is entirely voluntary. Taxpayers who elect to use it lose none of their normal appeal rights and are not bound by the mediator's suggestions. They can end the mediation process and go back to the IRS's normal appeals processes or procedures at any time. The mediator is an IRS appeals officer who has received special training in mediation skills, does not have any prior knowledge of the case, and whose objective is to act impartially to help the parties reach a voluntary settlement. The mediator does not act as an arbitrator who proposes a solution to the dispute. Rather, the mediator's role is to facilitate communication between the taxpayer and the IRS. Well, the mediator does this by reconstructing the full facts of the case using his or her expertise as an appeals officer to clarify the issues, pointing out to each party the risks and costs of appeals and litigation under normal rules, and making suggestions towards settling the case in a manner that is consistent with the law. Now, in doing so, the mediator may meet with the parties both together and separately as circumstances dictate. Mediation may take place at the IRS's office, the taxpayers, or a neutral location as the parties agree. The result here? A study conducted by the Treasury Department of FTM cases found that 70% were settled in an average of only 49 days. In contrast, comparable cases that did not use FTM took an average of 293 days to resolve. So let me go over the procedures with you a little bit. FTM can be used in disputes related to tax examinations or audits. That's how you how you actually are referred to them. Or offers in compromise regarding outstanding tax debts. Trust fund recovery penalties. That's employers' obligations for employment taxes. General tax collection actions. In fact, most tax disputes that haven't yet been filed in court qualify for FTM. FTM is most often involved in audits. Upon conclusion of an audit, if you do not agree with the result, you can request the FTM. And how do you do that? Well, at the end of an audit, you receive a written report of the auditor's findings. Now, if you disagree with them, you have the right to meet with the auditor's supervisor to seek a resolution of the disputed issues. You can request FTM at the meeting with the auditor supervisor. Alternatively, you can have the meeting with the supervisor, and if it does not produce a satisfactory result, ask for mediation afterwards. You do not have to file a formal written protest of the audit's result to obtain an FTM. You simply ask the IRS for mediation. Now, FTM is voluntary with the IRS as it is with the taxpayer, but since the IRS is encouraging FTM, you can expect it to agree to this thing. Then you and a representative of the IRS sign a written agreement to mediate and submit that to the IRS mediation program. Generally, within 1 week after this agreement is signed, a mediator will contact you and the auditor to work out the details of the process, such as where and when to meet to start the mediation. Now, here's some more details for you. Go to IRS publication 3605, that's Fast Track Mediation. It's available by calling 800-829-3676, or go to the IRS website at www.irs.gov. Now, when should you use the FTM? Well, FTM presents a welcome new option for taxpayers. It can be a help in many cases, but that does not mean it's smart to use it in all cases. In disputes involving offers in compromise, trust fund penalties, and collection actions, FTM almost always is a good idea. Why? In these cases, you already have an IRS determination against you. The IRS has rejected a compromise offer or says you owe trust fund penalties or another tax bill. So you have nothing to lose by requesting the FTM. You just get an extra IRS official in the person of the mediator to look at your case. If the mediator takes your side, you can win something. If not, you'll be no worse off than before and can still pursue the normal appeals process. If you believe the audit results contain a clear error, then FTM can be a good idea as a quickest way to get the error reviewed and corrected by the IRS. Having a mediator point out the error to the auditor can be faster and simpler than going through the normal appeals process to get the same result. Now, requesting FTM to dispute the result of an audit could be risky in some cases if the audit involved complex gray area issues, or if the return contains other issues that the auditor overlooked, and then requesting FTM may work against you. Why? When you present your side of the case, the auditor is going to be able to conduct extra research into the facts and law to respond. If the mediation does not result in a voluntary resolution and goes back to the IRS appeals, the auditor will now be better prepared to rebut the arguments when you raise them in a normal appeals hearing. Now, in contrast, if you skip the FTM process and go straight to IRS appeals, the appeals officer assigned to your case will not have seen your arguments as fully developed and will not have had the opportunity to evaluate the opinions of the mediator and the auditor. So your chances of prevailing in an appeal may be better. So what's the bottom line here? FTM can save time and money in resolving a dispute with the IRS, but before resorting to it, consider whether you have anything to lose by using it. In disputes involving tax collections, compromise offers, and straightforward audit issues, using it typically will be a good idea. But in complex audit disputes, it may be best to skip the FTM and stick to conducting your appeal the old-fashioned way. You know what? Sometimes I believe the old-fashioned way may be the best way if you think about it. You know, how about this? Have you thought about when selling a car is better than trading it in? Well, when it's time to dispose of a business automobile, it can be better tax-wise to sell it for cash rather than trade it in toward the price of a new vehicle. And why? Because depreciation deductions allowed for vehicles or automobiles are almost always smaller than the real loss of the value that they incur over time. For expensive vehicles, the difference can be very, very large. Now, here's an example. A $35,000 car bought and used 100% for a business will take about 17 years to fully depreciate its cost. That's until the year that would be in that'd be until the year 2030 almost, right? Or beyond that. But most of its value is going to be gone long before that. Here's the key. Because of the limited depreciation deductions, the market value of the used business auto is likely to be less than its tax basis, acquisition cost minus the depreciation deductions. And when business property is sold for less than its tax basis, a deductible loss results. But there's a trap here. When a car is traded in toward the purchase price of a new vehicle, the IRS considers the transaction to be an exchange rather than a sale, and no loss is currently allowed. The loss effectively is rolled over into the replacement vehicle and is deferred until it's actually sold. So here's a strategy for you. Before selling a business auto, compare its tax basis to the price that you expect to get. If the basis is higher, sell it for cash and take the loss deduction right away. That's just, you know what? That's just smart, don't you think? That's what I think anyway. It seems to me that that's the way things should be. Now, listen, we're gonna go on a short break. When we come back, I'm gonna talk to you about let's see here. How you can avoid estate tax by relocating. Sounds weird, doesn't it? Yeah, but you know, it's actually a good thing. Did you know, before we go, though, let me give you something else. There is no deduction for lost memorabilia. Let me tell you about it. Linda Wang claimed a miscellaneous deduction for $80,950 for items a landlord of hers had thrown out. She said that they included books, personal photos, school notes, and other personal items, and that she had also deducted the time she had spent on them and also my family memories. That's most important. Once missing, I couldn't replace them. Here's what the tax court said. Memories are delectable but not deductible. Loss of sentimental value is not a deductible loss. Miss Wenning might have qualified for a theft loss deduction, but since she had no proof of the cost of of the lost items, she wasn't eligible for that either. Now, do not go away, because when we come back, I'm going to tell you how you can avoid estate tax simply by relocating. I'll tell you all about it after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the Street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:38 p.m. Pacific time. I'm sorry, 3:48 Pacific time. It is 85 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, that's down from 88 degrees on its way to 54 degrees. But if you're listening on our global syndicated network and you're in Auckland, New Zealand, well, it's 88 degrees and overcast. And if you're in Sydney, Australia, well, that's 73 degrees and mostly cloudy. You know what? We've got people listening to us all over the world, and we're sure thankful for that. And we just try to give you the weather so you know that we're fully aware of the fact that you're listening to us live here on Robert Cardoza Live. Well, let's talk about, can you avoid estate tax by relocating. Yep, you heard me. The re-election of President Bush has some observers speculating the federal estate tax will permanently repealed or greatly scaled back. That may come to pass, but planning to reduce post-mortem taxation is still vital because of the tax law. Now, this legislation reduced revenues for individual states, many of which are taking actions to raise their own estate tax. Now, there's a tough transition here. Long before 2001, the Tax Act went into effect, federal law included a credit for state estate taxes based on a formula. Now, here's the upper limits. This credit went up to 16%, while the highest federal estate tax rate was 55%. Here's how it worked. When the decedent's estate was in the 55% tax bracket, the executor would pay the estate an amount equal to the 16% credit, and the other 39% would go to the federal government. Now, similar splits were made for estates in lower federal estate tax brackets. So, as of 2005, this credit had been eliminated. The old system was scheduled to come back in 2011, but that may not happen if another tax law is passed in the interim, as many people actually will expect. Now, here's the bottom line. The loss of this credit has cost many states significant amounts of money, and the states are going to strike back. Some states have responded to this revenue shortfall by decoupling from the federal estate tax system. Rules differ greatly from state to state. However, there is a favorite strategy. In several states, new laws call for the collection of the amount a state would have received if the old credit had remained in place. Now, here's an example. Alan Johnson lives in a state that has passed such a law. He dies in, let's just say, 2005 with a large estate. Suppose under pre-2002 law, Alan's estate would have paid $2 million to his state. The new law passed by his state calls for the same $2 million tax payment. Now, here's a trap. While Alan's estate pays the same $2 million to his state as it would have paid in 2001, there is no federal tax credit to reduce the federal estate tax obligation. Alan's estate winds up paying more, counting both federal and state estate taxes. Well, there's a loophole. Starting way back in 2005, Alan's estate can claim a federal estate tax deduction for state taxes paid. This deduction is scheduled to remain in effect through 2009, and in actuality is still in effect right now in 2015, and is in effect for 2016 as well. Now, here's the trap. A deduction from federal estate saves no more than 47 cents on the dollar. That much less of a benefit than the old tax credit, which provided full shelter at 100 cents on the dollar. Even after this deduction, the net state tax cost can be quite high if the federal government picks up 47%, which is the top estate tax rate that's going. A large estate would pay 53%. That's 100 minus the 47%. So kind of keep that in mind for what's actually going on out there. Well, how about the squeeze play? Some states set another tax trap. They have lower estate tax exemptions than the federal government. Here's an example. The federal estate tax exemption is $1.5 million. Massachusetts, though, has an $850,000 exemption, while New Jersey, assets over $675,000 are subject to the estate tax. The result? Some estates will owe tax to their states even when they owe no federal estate tax. And here's an example. Suppose Marjorie Russell dies in Massachusetts with a $1.5 million estate. Her estate would owe no federal estate tax, but it would owe estate tax on $650,000 worth of assets to Massachusetts. The $1.5 million minus the $850,000. If Marjorie had lived in New Jersey, her estate would owe tax on $825,000 worth of assets. These examples assume that Marjorie was unmarried, left nothing to charity, and had not made taxable gifts during her lifetime. Now, that's a big deal if you think about it, right? Yeah, it sure is. How about this? How about trimming the tax? What kind of planning might ease this state tax bite? Well, you start off by gifting. Giving away assets has long been a way to reduce federal estate tax, and this tactic might be especially valuable for dealing with state taxes. In some states, the taxable estate is not adjusted for the lifetime gifts as it is in the case under federal law. Now, here's an example for you. If John Green has given away $1 million and dies with $4 million, he's treated as having a $5 million estate by the IRS. Some states, though, don't follow the same add-back procedure, so John's estate's taxed for this. Whoa, what's going on here? Let's see. Let's get that stuff off of there. There we go. So John's estate is taxed for state and estate tax purposes on the smaller amount. The key to this, only 4 states currently have gift tax. Connecticut, which might repeal its law, Louisiana, North Carolina, and Tennessee. So the tactic? Execute a durable power of attorney to allow someone to make such gifts if you're no longer capable. Even deathbed gifts might produce tax savings. While you are capable, consider making estate reduction gifts with borrowed money to secure your assets. Don't give away low-basis assets, which may provide a tax advantage if inherited at your death. Moreover, giving away appreciated assets is undesirable because the recipient will owe capital gains tax on all the appreciation if those assets are actually sold. So, balancing this act, regardless of whether you make lifetime gifts, some basic planning may be necessary. Always, always, always check with a licensed professional. They're going to always save you more money than they're going to cost you, and you're going to be glad that you actually did that. Now, do not go away. We're going to go a little early for our commercial break because we've got our own Dr. Wireless, Joel Saltzman, waiting in the wings, and I can't hardly wait to hear what he's got for us today. So we'll be right back after these brief messages with Dr. Wireless. Don't go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the Street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:59 p.m. Pacific time. Actually, 4 o'clock just clicked over. It is currently 85 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's down from 89 degrees on its way to 57 degrees. And if you're listening to us on our global syndicated network and you're in Madrid, Spain, it's 50 degrees and clear. And in Vienna, Austria, it is 36 degrees and clear. But you know what? I'll tell you what's clear. What's clear is what's coming up next. Our own Dr. Wireless is going to talk to us about the changes in technology, the new deals with wireless providers and all those things. Hey, Joel, welcome aboard.
Hey, Robert. How are you this afternoon?
I am terrific. And how about yourself?
Doing great. Beautiful day out here today.
I can't imagine that you got your feet wet today, did you?
I did.
You know what? This doesn't feel like winter. It doesn't feel like spring. This feels like summer.
It sure seems like summer's here already. I don't know what's going on, but it seemed like winter just came and went. I don't know.
Well, you know,
awesome.
I was hearing about all that El Nino weather we were going to get, all that, the rain and all the stuff. I mean, we got a little bit of rain, but I mean, nothing like what I thought we were going to get.
I heard you got that when I was in Florida. I was hearing they were hailing, it was raining, it was windy. I heard it was nasty.
Well, you know what? It didn't last very long, but it was that way. I was making a joke about the animals were outside the studio window here. I could see the animals lining up 2 by 2. But you know, but other than that, you know, it's been really good because it would rain really hard and then it would let up for a day or two, and then it would rain and it let up for a day or two. But it only rained a couple of days each week. But you kind of escaped it all, and now that you're back here, back east, I guess they're having hail the size of golf balls.
Well, I didn't even see a raindrop. I think one day we had our top down and it sprinkled for a moment, but we never even put the top back up. So it was just sunny and beautiful the whole week I was there. So, but back to reality, and there's all kinds of cool stuff going on.
Oh, well, I want to hear all about it. You know, when I talk to you, it's like a little kid in a candy store. I just think about all of these things going on and you know, and all that kind of stuff. Matter of fact, I was going to ask you about it. I was accidentally watching one of these home shopping network things. I don't generally watch it, but they had this Panasonic wireless telephone thing on there, and they said something about, well, the main set was actually wired, so in an emergency you could still use it, but it still had the wireless part of it. But not only did it have, you know, the messaging, and it had forwarding to 2 cell numbers if you wanted it to do that, but you could, it like my cell that has call blocking, the home phone had call blocking too. And I thought, you know what, I might just go out and buy one of those things. I've never bought anything on Home Shopping Network, but then now I'm sorry I didn't, because now I can't find the doggone thing. But I think that's a good deal. If you can start blocking these miserable calls you get from salespeople, and they only call when you're sitting down to have dinner, you know?
Yeah, what I do is I have on my regular phone, nobody calls me except for those annoying people. And I have a generic, I haven't even set up an answering, message. I just have that generic guy saying, please leave a message. I always hear the dead air and hang up, because I realize they don't want to try soliciting me with a message. And anybody who wants me calls my cell phone. So at this point, I don't even know why I keep that line.
Well, you know what, and I agree with you. And the truth is the only reason I have a line is because when when I moved and I got the new FiOS and everything, I didn't want a separate phone line, except that if I didn't have it, it was going to cost me $29 a month more. So it was 20.
Well, I told you that story about a friend of mine back about 30 years ago when I was in college. He was so angry because the phone company wanted to charge him $5 more for having an unlisted number. He didn't want his name listed.
Isn't that ridiculous?
So I said his name was Omar. I said, Omar, well, what did you do? He said, well, I got a listing. And I said, well, I thought you didn't want a listing. He said, I got it in my dog's name. So when anybody calls and asks for my dog, I know they're telemarketing.
Well, what a great idea.
So save $5 a month.
Yeah. So listen, what's new and exciting in the world of technology today?
Well, we're hearing rumors about the Apple iPhone 7.
Really?
And, we have a big meeting. Apple does. I say we, but Apple has a meeting on March 21st, and they're going to announce a new iPad. They're going to probably announce this new budget. I don't know if it's a 5SE or a 6C, but they're going to announce a 4-inch iPhone. But the exciting stuff doesn't happen until probably the third week of September, which is traditionally when they do their good stuff. And we're hearing and we're seeing some leaks, and I have this on our Facebook page, DR Wireless, actually Facebook/DR Wireless. We have a picture of the back of one of these new iPhones, and the rumor is they're going to do the iPhone 7, the iPhone 7 Plus, and possibly a third one called the iPhone 7 Pro.
Really?
And it looks like the Pro model is going to have some special technology. It's going to be a dual sensor camera. And what's exciting about this is there's been talk about this coming, and we know that Apple bought an Israeli company called Lynx, Linx. And this Lynx company specializes in these dual aperture cameras. So the speculation, I would have thought they would have done this to the 7 Plus, but it looks like they're going to maybe do it on a new model, a 7 Pro, and that one will get this new technology.
No, what
interesting.
What exactly does it do? What is this double aperture thing? What does it actually accomplish?
Well, it gives you basically two lenses that will act simultaneously. You can have one that can be a telephoto, for example, and I think you can choose which image you want. It'll show both simultaneously. And the other thing it's going to do is allow Apple to make the device thinner because, as you know, on the current devices, that camera sticks out. If you look carefully, the camera lens actually sticks out. So apparently this is going to allow them to make the body slimmer, but it's going to add a lot more functionality. We've done everything we can do as far as megapixels, and now they're going to start improving the camera, with improved aperture. So you'll see, and with dual aperture. So it's going to be interesting. I'll send you the link, or you can always Google it, but it's Linx. And they had actually come out with 3 cameras on their website. And I wanted to pull them up, and it looks like their website came down since they were bought by Apple. So I don't see these products.
Yeah, I hope that's not an indication of how their opening day with this new phones are going to be.
No, I'm sure it'll be fine. Apple won't comment on this. Yeah, we bought this company. We're not commenting on what we're going to do. So that's typical with them.
Yeah.
So anyhow, exciting stuff happening. It looks like we know that, Lynx is owned by Apple, and we know eventually we're going to see product utilizing their technology, and it looks like it's going to be as soon as September, and it looks like it may be this new 7 Pro. So I'll keep you posted.
Yeah. 7 Pro. Jesus, it just feels like the 6s just came out.
Well, it does, but 6s are going to be going on sale any day, I'm sure.
So how
about Major League Baseball? You a Major League Baseball fan?
The World Series. That's about where I go with it.
Me too. I could give a rat's tushy about Major League Baseball personally, but I have lots of friends that are Dodger fans, Angel fans, Yankee fans. T-Mobile just teamed up with Major League Baseball. They're offering a free year subscription for anybody who's a T-Mobile subscriber on a simple choice plan. You got a free year of Major League Baseball TV from T-Mobile.
Wow.
So kind of a neat thing if you like baseball, something to consider.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? And there are a lot of people to make a decision just based on those kind of perks.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure there's hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
How about this one? Have you heard about what's going on in China now? They got a great new solution for people that are using cell phones while they're in the movie theater.
They put a bullet behind their ear, right?
No, but it could be just about as scary. What they do is they zap them with a laser beam. During the performance, ushers are equipped with laser pointers. They're stationed above or on the perimeter of the audience. When they spot a lighted mobile phone, instead of dashing over to the offender, they pounce with the pointer, usually red or green. And it's called laser shaming because everybody in the audience can see what's going on. And, it can be intimidating. Obviously, I think of, snipers when I see those red dots. So
yeah, but it could be more distracting than the darn cell phone when you're watching a movie.
Well, I think it's an interesting idea.
Yeah,
no. Yeah. See if that gets adopted here.
I would like it more if it gave you a little bit of a jolt. You know what I mean?
That would be interesting.
Yeah, that would solve the problem.
And before I forget, there's a promotion that is going to end on the 18th, the night of the 18th, which is 2 days from now?
Right.
And basically, it's a T-Mobile promotion. Anybody who wants in on this should get with me in the next 2 days. It's basically a free Samsung S7 or S7 Edge. Basically, what happens here is you purchase one of these devices. You can do an upgrade or a new activation. They will give you a second one free. The second one has to be activated on new service. And they'll also give you a Samsung Gear virtual reality kit with a device and a 6-game bundle from Oculus. They're the company making all these virtual reality games. So
I can see the kids going after this right now.
The kids are going to love this. But, if you were, for somebody who was thinking about, getting one of these new S7s or S7 Edges and thinking about maybe getting a phone for their kid or their wife, this is an unbelievable opportunity because this is a non-contract plan. Wow. It's pretty crazy to get a $750 phone for free these days on these programs, let alone a $150 virtual reality kit.
Yeah, that's a heck of a
pretty good deal. And we'll go for another few days. And on top of that, obviously, T-Mobile has those deals. You can get 3 lines for $150, unlimited everything, including 4G data and including 14 gigabytes of hotspot tethering. Now, nobody gives more.
Now you're saying unlimited, but in the previous shows you had talked about when you start overusing this stuff, they don't limit you, but they start cutting back on the speed and the bandwidth and that kind of stuff. Do they do that, or they give you the full?
They have to do that because there's always some jerk out there that's going to be abusing the system. Some people may use this for machine-to-machine purposes. Yeah. Some guys are going to maybe have a babysitter every night, watching their kid, and they're going to have the camera in the fake teddy bear, streaming video all night so they can watch their babysitter. I mean, there's so many things you can do these days with unlimited data. So all the carriers now do have a threshold. T-Mobile's is 25 gigabytes. So if you're regularly going over 25 gigabytes and stressing the network, they're going to reserve the right to slow you down.
But that's got to be
25 gigabytes is like watching 10 Netflix.
Yeah, that's got to be near impossible to do that, right?
Well, unless you're abusing the network, very few people use that kind of data.
Yeah.
So I don't mind. I've never gone even close, and I stream surfing contests and Netflix and Comedy Central and all kinds of stuff. So, and then if you should exceed that, they're going to slow you down. You're still going to be able to use email and social networking. So I call it unlimited. It's unlimited.
Well,
for all practical purposes.
Well, it is unlimited. All they do is start to slow you down. They don't take it away from you.
Exactly, and it's only those people that are really abusing the network that are going to have that problem.
Wow, that's cool.
Nixon has a new product that's coming out before the end of the year. This one caught my eye.
You didn't hear? Nixon's dead, you know.
Not that Nixon.
Oh.
Nixon, the watch manufacturer. Not Tricky Dicky.
Okay.
But Nixon is a watch manufacturer, and up to now they've specialized in designing watches for surfers. Waterproof watches that have the tide built in, so we can tell what tide it is at what time. And this is an Android watch. This is a California company. It's the first new super rugged Android watch. It's called the Mission, and it's bright orange. So I don't know about the color. It's not really my first choice, but it's water resistant up to 50 meters, and it will track water sports. So it will track your actual waves, you know, how far you went, how many turns you did. It does all of that.
Really?
But it also, it's pretty amazing stuff. It'll be out later this year. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on it.
Now, it tracks all that stuff, and does it store it so that after you're done surfing for the day or whatever, you can actually look at your stats and results?
Absolutely. Yes. I got a buddy of mine who's killing me. He's wearing one of these, a predecessor to this, and it's called Trace. And what it does is it shows his actual GPS coordinates, so you can tell where he was surfing. It shows his waves, how long they were, how many turns, how fast he went, how many calories he burnt. The problem is it's no secret where he went, because once he posts this, it shows exactly, you know, what break he was at. So I have mixed feelings about it, but it's pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah,
as far as the content.
Isn't it amazing what technology has provided for us today? I mean, you're talking about, you know, keeping track of how many calories you burn, what your heart rate is, how fast you're actually going on a surfboard, for God's sakes, you know, where your location is. The technology is just really, I don't know what's left for them to develop.
It is pretty amazing. It is pretty amazing. I don't know if you heard about this one. I got mixed feelings. Charter and Time Warner are getting close to getting the green light from the FCC.
You're kidding.
They're going to merge.
Oh.
I have mixed feelings about this. I know Tom Wheeler, the FCC chairman, had mixed feelings too, and he's saying that conditions are going to be attached to this. So we'll have to see whether they're enough to prevent a monopoly.
Yeah, I was going to say, what makes that not a monopoly? I mean, good Lord.
Yeah, I just, whenever the top two guys get together, to me, that's just a reduction of competition, and it's never good for consumers.
And to what extent does that enable them to have restraint of trade, because the other guys can't compete because of the power that they have?
Exactly. Well, I mean, there goes competition.
Oh, man.
So I have mixed feelings about that one. We'll have to see. I know Tom Wheeler knows what he's doing, so, he may put some stiff conditions in there. We'll have to see.
Yeah. Oh, man. I'm, you know what? I'm totally opposed to that.
Well, here's something you won't be opposed
to. I lost you. Are you still with me? Hey, Joel. I lost you, Joel. Joel, can you hear me? Joel, you got disconnected, I think. Hey, you know what I'm going to do, Joel? I'm going to hang up on you. I'm going to let you call back, and in the interim, I'm going to just go ahead and go to a commercial break, and then we'll bring you back. There we go. Let's see. He's gonna call me back in just 1 second. We're going to go to a commercial break, and Joel's going to call me back. So don't go away. We'll be right back after these brief messages.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records Showcases show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we're back with our own Dr. Wireless, Joel Saltzman, who I think forgot to pay his cell phone bill, and they disconnected him here just a couple seconds ago. But I know he's fast at getting that stuff done. So, hey, Joel, you back with us?
What we had here was a failure of communication.
My part or your part?
I don't know. I have no idea. I heard you the whole time.
Oh, you did? All of a sudden I lost you, and I thought, well, what's going on here? And it looked like I was still had you connected here, but you weren't responding to me. So I figured, well, the easiest way to do this is just go to. We were within 45 seconds of commercial anyway, so it worked out fine.
Excellent.
So listen, we were talking about the things that technologically are advanced today. Doesn't it just blow your mind? Every week, Joel, you come on the show. Every week you talk about all these new deals that are going on and all this new technology. Today, that's the iPhone 7 and the 7 Pro and all that stuff. Doesn't it just boggle your mind that they can come out with all these new products and then they've always got something new in them to offer to the consumer? It's sort of like, what they planned 20 years ago for what they were going to put out on this thing 20 years later.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm impressed. I don't normally embrace all the new apps and all the new technology like some of my friends, but I will say this. As you know, I went to Florida last week and I took Lyft from my house to the airport, and I took Lyft from the airport back to my house. And I have to tell you, that I don't think I'll ever take another cab to the airport for the rest of my life. It's so easy.
Have you used Uber? Can you compare?
I use them both.
Okay,
I've used them both. And Uber is the big boy. In fact, Uber just announced something that's pretty cool. They announced something that allows, it's called a family profile, and it lets you pay for others. So if you wanted to pay for a family member, if I wanted to pay for my daughter, I can now do that. So it's kind of a unique idea.
Wow.
But that being said, I prefer Lyft.
You do?
I've been using them. I've talked to several of my friends drive for both of them. And everybody I talk to who's worked for both seems to like Lyft better. They tell me they're a little more personalized. I know the few times I've taken both, I know Lyft these guys will greet you with a fist bump, and they prefer you get in, the front with them, and they kind of treat you like a buddy or a friend. It's a little more personal.
Well, that's cool. Now, you live in
on the border of Redondo Beach and Torrance.
Okay, so how far is the airport from your home?
I am 15 minutes from the airport, and it used to be in the old days it was a $20 cab ride plus tip. Then it was a $25 cab ride. Then it was a $35 cab ride. Now if I get traffic, I sit there in the traffic jam watching that meter spin, and it just would make me so stressed.
Yeah.
Now it was $14 to take Lyft to the airport, and I think it was 18 or something coming back. I think they charge you a $4 airport pickup or something.
Well, yeah, that's because they get charged for going on the airport ground, so that's probably why.
They do.
Yeah.
As do the cabs do the same thing, but the only difference is you go to the third level and they have a designated pickup area for Uber and Lyft, and it's pretty remarkable. Actually, I can understand why the cab drivers are not happy about this.
Now, how do you know? I mean, is there a sign on the side of the car or something? How do you know that you got a Lyft driver or an Uber driver? Because it's just a regular.
Well, what happens? The whole beauty of this, Robert, is they will send you an email. And it'll have the picture of the car. It'll have the license plate of the car. It'll have the name of the driver. So I had a guy named Brad take me from the airport home. Very nice guy. And so when they pick you up, they'll greet you by name, and you see their license plate, and it'll say Toyota Prius. It'll have the license plate, and it'll say your driver's name is Brad, and he's 3 minutes away. So it's pretty amazing. I have to say the app works flawlessly. With the exception of I put in the wrong pickup destination the first time. So the driver called me and he was at 702 Rosecrans. I said, "What the hell are you doing there?" I'm at the airport, but it was my fault because it was a user error. So I selected World Way, the airport location. I thought it automatically took your GPS coordinates, but apparently it doesn't.
Because I actually downloaded both apps and I opened up the accounts on both of them. I've yet to use it. And matter of fact, I almost used it today. I had a meeting out about 15 minutes or so from where I'm at, 15, 20 minutes from where I'm at. And I thought, I'll give this thing a try just for the heck of it. And you
had 3 martinis and you thought, let me give this a try.
Yeah. You know what? And that's exactly where my head was at. I was thinking about using them to get there and get back, But now
that's what my wife does. My wife will say, "Okay, let's go out to dinner," and okay. I say, "Okay, well, let's go. I'll drive you." No. Let's take Uber or let's take Lyft, and I know that means it's going to be margarita time.
Well, that means you're going to have a good time.
Exactly. So it's kind of a neat option. You don't have to worry about driving home.
Now, you said you had to wait a half an hour for them. Is that the norm?
No. It takes minutes. No, it takes minutes. Each time I've done this, that was the problem with the cabs. I'd call a cab and maybe he showed up 10, 20 minutes. With this Uber stuff, it generally is, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. I mean, it took me a little time the first coming back from the airport because I gave them the wrong location.
Yeah.
But normally you give them the right location, there's always somebody near, and it's very quick. So I would tell you, give it a try sometime. You'll be surprised. It's cheaper in many cases to do that than to go and valet park your car somewhere.
Yeah. I mean,
and you have to worry in places where parking is a premium or a pain to deal with.
Yeah.
You're not dealing with it.
That sounds like a good deal. Like going over to the Ontario airport from here is probably, that's going to probably, that's going to be probably 25 minutes from here. So, by the time you pay for parking over there, the daily parking is a lot cheaper to go ahead and use Uber or Lyft.
Exactly. No liability, no car dings, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm going to try it. You talked me into it.
Worth it.
Yeah.
Worth it. And the other thing I wanted to tell you about, have you heard about Nokia? They were in the smartphone business, and at one point they were great, and then they kind of lost it and trying to find their way, but they're getting back in a big way into the virtual reality business. I don't know if you saw Avatar. I'm not big on 3D, but it is pretty amazing. I saw Avatar and a couple of these other movies at the IMAX, and it's kind of interesting. I'm not personally crazy about this, but I see the technology. Mm-hmm. Nokia came out with a camera that has 8 lenses. It's got 8 synchronized shutter sensors. It's got 8 microphones for stereoscopic 3-dimensional video. It's called the Ozo, and it's aimed at the professional filmmaking fraternity. And there's quite a few groups right now that are specializing in this virtual reality stuff. Mm-hmm. Abelscene, Off Hollywood, and Radiant Images are the big 3 in Hollywood. So they're making this camera available to these folks. They're resellers. And the problem is this thing is so expensive that they're trying to get these guys to rent it out or lease it out. But the camera itself is $60,000.
Wow! But that's got to be. But it's new technology. As they get more and more popular,
it'll come down. It's new technology, and it's used to make movies. So we know how many millions of dollars these movies generate. But it's interesting because I think we're going to see a big move towards this virtual reality.
Well, what's interesting? It's interesting that you would say that, because the virtual reality standard in the quality of the pictures. I mean, you'd be shocked to learn how many television commercials are actually shot with iPhones and iPads.
Well, and these things are, they shoot 4K video now. So, it's amazing the quality of these cameras, and they're only getting better.
Yeah.
And they actually opened a virtual reality roller coaster, and there's a virtual reality movie theater. There's a virtual reality gaming, and now we have a virtual reality camera. So I think, this may come to consumers as well, but it seems to me that's going to be the future.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? And with all this new technology, how many industries have we put out of business?
Well, I'm guessing quite a few. I mean, I look at my smartphone and I think of all the devices that put out of business.
Well, I mean, you don't need a travel agent anymore. You don't need somebody to make a reservation at a restaurant for you anymore. You don't have to worry about calling a cab anymore. You don't need
a flashlight. You don't need a calculator. You don't need a fax machine. You don't. It goes on and on and on.
Yeah, you don't have to haul your computer with you. It's all on your phone, right? And this list is just endless. How many industries have we really put out of business? It's amazing.
It is frightening. Yeah. Truly frightening. But that's technology.
Well, yeah, and my guess is only because I don't have the vision that Bill Gates has when he was starting out, or that Steve Jobs had when he was still alive. What does the future really have to hold for us? What is it that we haven't seen yet? And you say, "Oh my God, really?"
Who's to say?
Yeah, I mean, even the telephones. Now you said it earlier when we first started up today. Why would you have a landline? Anybody that wants to call you calls your cell phone. Anybody wants to talk to me, they don't call my home. They call my cell phone. They want to talk to my wife. They don't call me. They call her cell phone. Why on earth would you want a home phone except that to save
one reason,
to save $29 a month?
One reason for me. and that's to buzz people in downstairs. I haven't figured out how to do that on my cell phone yet.
You know what? That app is coming. I'm
sure there's an app for that, Robert.
That app is coming. You got to know it, right?
And if there isn't one, I think we need to invent it.
Boy, yeah, and do it quick so you can get those millions of people pumping into it.
I like it.
Yeah.
If everybody can give me $1, I'm a happy man.
Well, you know what? If everybody gave you $1, you'd be the richest man on earth.
This is true. And one thing that we confirmed, we talked about this last week, that new iPhone will not have the 3.5 jack. We know about that.
Oh.
And I'm going to guess that Apple's going to say that in order to make the device thinner, which is the last thing I want, mine is too thin as it is. I mean, I use a case because of that. Mm-hmm. But in order to make it thinner and to waterproof it, I'm guessing they're going to do away with the 3.5. They're going to put the headset now will be a lightning plug. What that leads me to believe is there's a possibility, I would like to think this, that Apple's going to come out with some kind of wireless charging, because how can you charge your device while you have your headset plugged into the charging port? Oh, yeah.
You know what? And it seems like a natural place to go. Not only wireless charging, but they're not going to have the plug-in headphones anymore either. They're going to use wireless headphones. They're going to use the Bluetooth and that kind of stuff. Why have those cords at all?
Well, because there's something to be said about the reliability and the sound quality. I don't care what brand the Bluetooth is. Mm-hmm. A good wired cord always sounds better to me for some reason.
Well, the problem that I have, and I have, I've got a Beeps, but I use it here at home. It's connected to my smart television and my cell phones and all the rest of this stuff. But when I go out and I'm walking or I go to the gym and I'm exercising, I use the Apple earbud things. The problem I have is I'm constantly pushing them back into my ears. They just, and I tell myself, well, you know what? I got plenty of these things. Why don't I just throw these away? Because the little rubber on the outside is wearing out, and so I'll just throw these things away. But you know what? I guess I'm cheap. I don't want to throw them away. They still work fine.
Yeah, I don't like anything in my ears, so I'm kind of resigned to either big headsets or not using earbuds or Bluetooth.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what, and I could easily do that. It's just I love to go. I'll go for 3 times a week. I go for a 5-mile walk, and I just take my iPhone and I put the music on that I want to hear, or whatever radio station I want to listen to, or I'll even edit my own show and listen to it to see how it's gone. And I just throw the phone in my pocket and I have the earphones on, the earbuds from, and that's what I do. Although one of these days I'm going to probably get hit by a truck or something because I'm listening to the music instead of paying attention to what I'm doing.
Well, my brother does that all day. He's plugged into his earbuds. I think maybe he might unplug during dinner, but I don't even know if he does even that. But he is a mortgage broker, and he's constantly taking apps on the phone and constantly plugged into his earbuds.
Yeah. Now I have, it is convenient, when you're walking around or you're in the gym or something and you get a phone call and you got the earbuds in because you can actually, use the phone, with the earbuds. It's got that microphone and that's actually quite convenient. And it seems to work quite well. So listen, anyway, you need to give out some contact information because believe it or not, we're out of time.
Well, I hate when that happens. Everything we discussed today, Robert, is on our drwireless.com website on the blog. We also have it on our Facebook /drwireless page. And the other thing is anybody who wants to take advantage in the United States anyway of that free Samsung S7 or S7 Edge offer should contact me as soon as possible. There's another 48 hours for this. Joel at D as in David Arson Rabbit wireless.com. Joel at drwireless.com.
Hey, sounds great. It's been a great show. I don't know what it is when I get you on with me. It seems like that half hour just goes boom, just goes right by. I don't know what's happening with it. Anyway, stay safe, stay happy. Go out there and enjoy some more rays and some more waves.
Thank you, Robert. Likewise.
All right.
Have a great week.
And for the rest of you folks, do not go away because when we come back, we're going to be talking about the birthdays for today, the secret daily teaching for your life, the Harvard business tip of the day, and interesting but useless facts. We'll be right back after these brief messages. Got good stuff for you. Don't go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:41 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently 85 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, if you're in Paris, France, it's 39 degrees and it is clear. And if you're in Rome, Italy, it's 46 degrees and it's clear. But you know what? Right now, it's time for the Harvard Business Tip of the Day. And the management tip today is learn while you're on the job. Yep. You know what? Too many of us relegate learning to formal instructor-led programs, but you can actually incorporate learning into what you already do every day. For example, you can use a team meeting to work on your communication skills. A morning of returning email can become a chance to apply a new organization system, or an afternoon of customer interactions can become a chance to hone your business development pitch. Focus on a skill that you want to develop and research it online. You can find blogs from subject matter experts on almost any topic, not to mention a generous supply of YouTube videos. Then set a series of small progressive goals and enlist a colleague to pay attention to your skill building effort by offering periodic feedback along the way. You know what? Why shouldn't you learn while you're on the job? Matter of fact, you should learn. Nobody ever knows it all. Well, it's time for the secret daily teaching for your life. And no, this is all about a positive mental attitude. I tell you this all the time. You do control whether you're happy, you're sad, you're rich, you're poor, you're successful, you're a failure. You even control the feelings of the people around you, you know? achievements. And it's all by a positive mental attitude. I'm telling you guys, this absolutely works. You just have to have faith in yourself, which is part of the positive attitude. You know what the secret for today is? You can use the law of attraction to create your whole life in advance, right down to the next thing that you're doing today. Think about it. You can control that. This is an easy thing. Give it a try. Give it a test. Hone your skills. You know what? Even a positive mental attitude takes practice. You got to start really believing in yourself for it to really happen. Well, you know what today is? Sure you do. It's Wednesday. It's March the 16th, and it's somebody's birthday. Well, we've got some big birthdays today, and here's one for somebody we just recently lost. She was born in 1912 and died in 1993. Wife of Richard Nixon, 37th President of the United States, and was First Lady from 1969 to 1974. You know what? It's interesting. I said somebody we just lost. For some reason, I'm looking at Pat Nixon, and I was thinking of Nancy Reagan, but I'm the same kind of thing held true there. But was happy birthday to Pat Nixon. Well, here's somebody that has entertained us all, made us all laugh and made us all cry. He was born in 1926, best known for his slapstick humor on stage and screen, television, radio, and recording, and is also known for his charity fundraising telethons. Happy birthday, Jerry Lewis. And it's also the birthday of Bernardo Bartolucci. Yep. And I'll tell you what do you think happened today in history? Well, I can tell you, on March 16th, 1958, the Ford Motor Company produces its 50 millionth automobile, the Thunderbird, averaging almost 1 million cars a year since the company's founding. And in 2003, the largest coordinated worldwide vigil takes place as part of the global protests against the Iraq War. And then finally, in 2006, the United Nations General Assembly votes overwhelmingly to establish the UN Human Rights Council. Yep. Well, the quote for today comes from somebody we all have heard of. It comes from John Fitzgerald Kennedy. And he says, "Expect nothing, live frugally on surprise." Yeah, well, he said more poignant things in the past, but you know what? Still good words to live by. Well, it's time for those interesting but useless facts. We've got a few minutes, so let's give you some. Did you know that although now mostly vegetarian, in Victorian times, mince pies were made with beef and spices? I'll bet you that was good, huh? How about this? Did you know that Eddie Arcaro, one of the greatest jockeys in horse race history, rode 250 losers before he won his first race? Ultimately, Arcaro won 4,779 races, including 5 Derby winners, 6 in the Preakness, and 6 in the Belmont Stakes, on such famous horses as Whirlaway, Citation, and Kelso. Yeah. Well, how about this? Did you know that Henry Ford flatly stated that history is bunk? Don't you believe it, folks? And how about this? Did you know that gold leaf is attached to paper or plaster with egg whites? The same now as in ancient times. That's where they learned to do it. And did you know that rattlesnake mating sessions have been known to last more than 22 hours? Now, there's a lesson in this, folks. Think about it. It's either a heart attack, a stroke, or there's a smile on your face. Yeah. How about that? Well, did you know that Napoleon's favorite type of wood was knotty chestnut? Yeah, well, who cares? How about this? The python can swallow a rabbit whole and may eat as many as 150 mice in a 6-month period. Wow. Huh. That, 150 mice in a 6-month period didn't sound like that much if you think about it. That's what is that, 180 days? So that's one a day. That's less than one a day. That's not a big deal. How about this? Kangaroos usually live to around 6 years old in the wild. Yeah, that's a good reason for taking care of them. How about this one? A person has to travel west to get from Los Angeles, California, to Reno, Nevada. Now, that is a bet you can win over and over and over again. A lot of people don't realize that Reno, Nevada is west of Los Angeles, California. This because of the tilt of the earth. How about this one? Cheddar cheese is the most purchased and consumed cheese in the world. Yep, in the world. And then, you know what? How about this? The queen termite can live up to 50 years and have 30,000 children every day. Man, that's a lot of work. No wonder they call it a queen bee. And how about celery does make you lose calories. It doesn't have a special chemical to do so, but it has no calories, so the chewing burns the calories that are burned. Yeah, it's got no calories that you're taking in, so just by eating this thing burns up calories. Give that a thought. And let's see here. Did you know the original IBM punch card is the same size as a Civil War era dollar bill? That's kind of interesting if you think about it. And Isaac Newton published his Principia, explaining the laws of gravity, in 1687. Yep. All right. Let me leave you with this one. The statue of Auguste Rodin that has come to be called the Thinker was not meant to be a portrait of a man in thought. It is a portrait of the poet Dante. Well, you know what he's thinking about, right? Yeah, he's thinking, how am I going to ever get my clothes back? That's what he's thinking. Sure he is. Now, don't go away. We've got to take a short commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to answer your emails. We're coming down to the wire here. My first email comes from Mason Zafra from Gloucester Point, Virginia. He's asking about lost carry forwards, and I'm going to answer his question right after these brief messages. You'll find these interesting, so don't go away. We'll be right back.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics at 4:53 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 85 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, you know what? If you're listening to us on our global network and you're in New York City, it's 53 degrees and it is overcast. And if you're in Chicago, Illinois, it is 56 degrees and mostly cloudy. Well, if you've been listening to us, you know we've given you the weather for California and New York and Illinois and France and Italy and England, in Austria, in Spain, in Japan, in Australia and New Zealand. So, matter of fact, we also gave you Hong Kong for China and Lisbon and Portugal. So we've given you quite a bit, and we've got listeners in all those places, and I want to thank each and every one of you for listening to Robert Cardoza Live, and I want to encourage you to tell all your friends about our show. Please get our app at robertcardozalive.com. Actually, go to the Apple Store and search Robert Cardoza Live. The app is absolutely free. You can download it, and if you have an Android or a Windows product, just go to GooglePlay.com. Do the same search, Robert Cardoza Live. Download it. It's absolutely free. If we're broadcasting live like we are now, you'll see a little red flag there that says broadcasting live. And if we're off the air, you'll see all of our archive shows there. There's a little information button there next to each one. You hit that, it'll tell you what that show's about. Well, let's talk about our emails. The first one comes from Mason Zafra from Gloucester Point, Virginia, asking about loss carry forwards. And he says, 2 spouses have separately owned investments but filed joint returns. One spouse incurs a very large loss, creating a large capital loss carry forward. Before it's used up on their joint returns, that spouse dies. Can the surviving spouse continue to use the loss carry forward in later years? Well, Mason, the answer to your question is no. The IRS position is that only the taxpayer who sustains a loss is entitled to take the deduction. So, when an individual incurs a big loss before marriage or on separately owned investments during marriage, he or she can deduct a resulting loss carry forward on joint returns during the marriage, but when that spouse dies, the carry forward dies too. The surviving spouse cannot continue to use it on future returns filed as a separate taxpayer. So, if you need help with this thing, go talk to that licensed professional that we always encourage you to go see. And next email comes from James Scarlett from Sterling Heights, Michigan, asking about depreciation recapture, and says, I intend to convert a building that I own to business use and then sell. If I take depreciation deductions for it, I'll have them taxed back to me when I sell the building, and I might be in a higher tax bracket then. Can I forego the depreciation deductions? Well, James, your tax bracket isn't going to matter here. When you sell a property for gain, previously deducted depreciation is taxed back, but at a maximum rate of 25%. Now, the problem with not deducting depreciation is that the tax code says gain on property sale is computed counting depreciation allowed or allowable. So even if you don't take the deductions, gain's going to be computed just as though you had. So you might as well be taking it. Now, take note, for property acquired after 1980 and before 1987, there's some special rules that apply. So go to IRS publication 534. That's depreciating property placed in service before 1987, and that'll help you. Well, next email comes from Morgan Agra from San Jose, California, asking about cash from overseas, and says, my parents live in a foreign country and want to make a large gift to me to help me get started here in the United States. Must international payments of more than $10,000 be reported and taxed? Well, here's the thing, Morgan. Gifts are not subject to income tax, and U.S. gift tax does not apply to gifts made by foreigners. So any gift that you receive will be tax-free. Now, U.S. persons who receive more than $100,000 in a tax year from foreign nationals must report the fact on an IRS form. That's 3520. That's annual return to report transactions with foreign trusts and receipt of certain foreign gifts. But this doesn't make the gift taxable. Keep in mind that the receiver of a gift never owes tax. It's the giver of the gift, and then only if they're a resident or a citizen of the United States. If they are not a resident or a citizen of the United States, they're not subject to those taxes. And finally, my last email comes from Bella Aguilar from Boulder, Colorado, asking about stock dividends. It says, I invest through dividend reinvestment programs. We call those DRIPs, by the way. Is it also possible to do so in my IRA? Well, Bella, DRIPs are managed by corporate issuers of stock shares, so IRAs administered by banks or brokers, mutual funds, and other such IRA trustees don't permit investments in issuer-sponsored DRIPs. However, a growing number of corporate DRIPs now have a DRIP IRA option, including those of Walmart, Ford, Verizon, McDonald's, Sears, and ExxonMobil. Each such program holds only its own company stock, so to have a diversified portfolio, you have to invest in several different programs. Now, on my next show, Sean Lefebvre and I are going to be talking about politics and healthcare. You don't want to miss it. And please tell all your friends about my show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network.
That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.